Hey everybody, it's Loaded Titanium here, and today, finally, I'm sure you all are saying, we are going to take a look at here and review my Master Grade ms-06-j Zaku 2. Of course, this here is on the 2.0 frame, and, well, let's just jump straight into it here. So, I know by now you guys have probably already seen my frame review, so I'm not going to get too far in depth with some things. I'm going to go over the articulation just a little bit, but primarily what I want to show off here is the detail, the paint job, and the weapons and stuff like that. You know, just gush about this kid a little more. And so let's go here. First off here, this guy is done with a straight out-of-the-box paint job, so I didn't do any actual modifications to this guy. I just gave it a hell of a long-lasting paint job, and I think it turned out amazing. One thing I do want to say here before anybody asks, so first off, I know I said I was going to do a camo paint job on this guy. The more layers I did of the rust effect and all that, and actually layer on the paint, the camo paint job would have made this way, way, way too messy. So I backed off of that in case anybody was really wondering about that. So I nixed the camo job. I went straight for the more jungle-ish colors, so more dark where it's needed to be, and the lighter parts of the Zaku are still sort of in that Zaku green, but I gave it more of a foliage type look. So it's still got those sort of colors going for it. It just doesn't have what you would call like traditional camo, so to speak, you know. There, you can see that a little bit better here. And we're going to get into that, but first off here, this paint job took me about, I would say, about 8 days from start to finish to complete, and that is including the weapons and everything. And other than that, you know, this was a really easy build. This was a really basic and rewarding build. So I can really say this is something that allowed me to really stretch my legs as far as a paint job was concerned, but not really have to worry about any hard-pressed extraordinary gimmick from the suit. So it's got a bonus of that in case you might see this kit and say, oh, it's got spring-coiled power cables, or you have to slide these on. Don't be intimidated by that on this guy. This kit's a breeze. This kit is meant for everybody. But honestly, where I think the main strength of this mobile suit is this Master Grade kit is it's so well put together. It's so, I wouldn't say basic, but that's close to what I mean. It's so well engineered as far as that goes that, you know, really whatever you want to do to it, it's free game. If you want to do a straight out of the box build on this guy, it's going to look good. You know, if you want to do, say, you know, more extreme modifications, it's good. I mean, the book's open on that one. You're not going to have any trouble as far as that goes. And really, with that being said, you know, I enjoyed it for that reason, because it just was the perfect sort of palette for the paint job I wanted to do. And that's kind of what sparked this. You know, this was the paint job I wanted to do, and I wasn't really going to muddy that up, and I wasn't going to focus on anything else because I wanted to do this paint job on a Zaku and do it in more of a jungle feel, and I did that. You know, this may not seem like it's in the flair of really a lot of my other builds I've done, but that's kind of what I was also going for with this. You know, just something different. Let's do something different than what I normally would do. Alright, so I pulled the Zaku to the side here now, and I'm taking the weapons out of the hands. We will go over the weapons, but for right now I want to look at just the Zaku. I am going to be leaving the missile launchers on the legs, though. They're not really covering up much. But yeah, all things considered here, from everything I've done to this guy, it just is a real dream. It's came out so wonderfully. Alright, so the weapons are down. I've set them to the side. Now let's go over our paint job here. We're going to start on the head and work our way down, of course. So let me get it a little closer. As you can see here on the head, I did a base coat of rust, which I did to the whole kit. And then I painted over it in the green I was using, which it was a khaki green, I think it was called. As you can see there on the horn, I painted the inside of the mono eye there. Gotta love that ab crunch, just lets it look up like this. I didn't really do much to that clear visor piece because I didn't really need to. I did a very, very light coat of rust here on the power cables because I was using an enamel paint. Be careful if you're using an enamel paint on the bare plastic. It will eat through it like nobody's business. I had a few problems with that I've had to fix on this guy. Next up here, inside the vent piece here for the mouth, I did a rust effect on there. So it shows like moisture trapped in there on a vent system. So it's got that going for it. Here on this side of the head, I did a little bit of rust, but I wanted some more paint there showing that it was probably running down this way on the kit or bouncing off to the back, as you can see here on the back of the head. If I can get that to focus, there we go. Beautiful. Here I did a few more primer coats here on these hose cablings a little after, so it's got that showing up. You can see all the little nooks and crannies of this rust detail I have put in. See, as we move over here, you see it on that shoulder piece, which we're moving to now. So it's got all over the shoulder. Like I wanted rain just to be catching there for days and days at a time. As you can see there, it's with our paint here, that's what the paint originally looked like. So it's got that going for it. Tearing off that paint there. Really wish I could get this to focus good. Focus. Ah, fuck it. Anyway, so rolling it over here, as you can see here, we have a Xeon decal there. It's tattered and torn, seen better days. It's got the rank decal right there. And now, I'm actually going to pull the shield off to show what I've done on the other side. So we'll set him back over here. And I know I've showed this off during the frame review, but let's take another look again. So we have the shield painted in the same colors as that shoulder piece. And we have a Midnight Fenrir decal here, as well as a tattered and torn white stripe. The Xeon logo, Principality of Xeon with the symbol. It's tattered and torn. You can see rust poking through all over the damn thing. And another white stripe on the bottom. Slight wraparound. Lots of rust here on the side. Not as much of the white ribbon wraparound on this side. But on the other side here, see, this is really where I wanted the humidity and the heat to be catching. You can see a little bit of metal, but it's rusted to all hell up under here, as it would usually in a very hot, humid setting. So we've got that going for it. Now I'm going to snap this back on there. But I'm going to leave the shield poking out this way, and we're going to slide the shoulder armor out just the same. And scooting our guy closer here, and I'm going to move the camera just a little bit closer. So here we can see another Midnight Fenrir decal on here, as well as a lot of rust and a slash down the middle of it, just from wear and tear. And so that's sort of been protected very well, as you can see on top here, by the shield. Another way this articulation helps. So we've got a little bit of rust on the other side here too. but it's not as prevalent because that shield is going to be catching most of it. So moving on down here, as you can see on the arms, there's a little bit of rust on these, a little bit of buildup, but not as much thanks to just the way the rain would be falling. It is in the gaps, and I wanted to make sure it would be in like the gaps of some of these parts, like right around here, as well as over here on the other arm. So those are protected for the most part. But here's something that I wanted to do that wouldn't be so protected, and I'm going to turn these around here, is these elbow joints here. You can see the rust coming through the metallic finish on there. So if you bend them here, you can see these joint parts, they aren't as well protected because they'd be hanging off the back of the mobile suit and would be still getting hit with rain. Same way as here on the wrist joint connecting to them, anywhere around that area would be just pooling with rain. And of course running down the nooks and crannies here of the wrist. And so those are rusting out, same way as these moving parts here. Now we've got the hands of this guy, and same way here is the finger joints I did. Very light coats of this. These guys, again, do not like that enamel paint just on the bare plastic. So after priming these lightly, I made sure to dilute and thin that paint as best I could, and then just lightly dab it on here on the after being hit with the gunmetal coats. And over here on this arm, it's pretty much the same. You're not missing out on much from what I said, even though I focused on that arm. So don't worry too much about that. Okay, so let's straighten him up here, and we'll do a quick look at the chest and the back. So here for our chest armor, we've got another Midnight Fenrir decal, another gunmetal rust finish all throughout here, as well as in here on the neck. And I think that just turned out spectacularly. Then here on these parts here, I have a tattered and torn faded white ribbon here, as well as some caution markings that have seen better days. Again, most of the paint here has been rusted off. That's kind of the look I was going for. The water would just be sliding down here in a rainforest type setting in a jungle with all that humidity. And this part right here, it's starting to chip, but I didn't want it overbearingly chipping here. But you can see up here under the cabling, all that humidity and water would be resting there. So that's very rusty. Alright, let's turn them around here. The backpack is very well rusted here, as well as in these thrusters. But as you can see here on these parts of the back, it's not as bad, but the backpack has, again, seen better days. Anywhere that could collect humidity, I gave it that sort of idea. As you can see here, like I said, on the front side view there, that's collecting a lot of rain too. Alright, so let's keep things going here. Here's our skirt armor here. Again, about an average amount of rust. A lot is on the top here, not so much on the bottom of the skirt armor. Until you turn the skirt armor up, if I can get it, right there and there you can see some large swath patches of rust up under there on the more metallic style plates. Right here there's a Xeon logo right here, as well as right here. And if we turn him around, I'm sure you can see there, Principality of Xeon Zaku 2. That's a bit scratched and faded, but I didn't think that these skirt plates and armor would be seeing as much rough action. There's what was once a white stripe that was cutting across here. I keep wanting to say ribbon, but that's not quite right. Now let's look at the legs here. So we've got a lot of, not quite full rust, but discoloration here on the thigh. And sliding down here, but not so much on the back of the leg. There's a large chunk of rust here. But I did not want these to be so discolored on the backs of the legs. And I did that for a reason, showing that this suit would be moving. Usually a good deal of movement quite often. And if you're going to be moving through rain and water and stuff like that, parts of you aren't going to get as wet. Even if this zaku was just standing in the rain like it's standing right now, the rainwater would run down the skirt and hit the power cables or these parts of the legs. It would just hit so many other areas first. I didn't want to overdo it here. So, in case you were wondering, they have discoloration. That's about it. Here's some tarnished effects and metallic effects here on the cables here. These cables aren't going to be as rough as the ones on the head or these ones. So these here are more gunmetal discolored. Again, with that sort of discoloration, like they are only in the early stages of rust. And let that part of the arm come off. That's okay. It's been trying to come off since I painted it. The thickness is a bit skewed. So let me slide this guy over real quick and we'll put that back on. I'll get it in a minute. Alright, so let's pan the camera down just a little bit right here. And again, the same sort of paint job that's here on the chest is down here on the knees. So we've got those sort of rust effects. And we have a lot of discoloration and a lot of standing rust effects. But this time they're on the bottom of the legs and a few crannies up here. But not so prevalent as they are on the bottom of the legs. And again, I did that for good reason of making this suit dredge through rivers, swampy areas, muddy areas, and just general shit like that. And that's why the missile pods here have a more used and abused tarnished effect. Also, because they'd be trudging through the same stuff. Other than that, here, we're going to go through this next part decently fast because it's again the same stuff. So we've got our feet here. They're going to be in that same detail. Minor rust, more tarnished discolored effects. But here on the bottoms of the feet, I got to clean that other one up. I did sort of a mudded effect here and minor rusting. There, I hit that with a thin layer of putty and painted over it in a mud brown. Probably not the best choice of things I could have done, but all things considered, that's not too bad. Alright, so before I get into weapons, I'm going to pause my recording real quick and find this piece to the arm, and then we'll go jump right into weapons, okay guys? Alright people, and I'm back here, so let's talk weapons. Oh, and in case you're wondering, yes, I did find that arm piece. Here it is. It's on there right now. Alright, let's talk weapons. So first off here, as you can see by the action pose here I got him in, Heat Hawk. And I know on the box and in the manual and pretty much everything else, it wants the Heat Hawk to be purple with a yellow blade. Let me tell you something right now. Fuck that. It looks dumb. I've always thought it looked dumb. I'm not going to paint my Heat Hawks purple. You know, maybe paint the bar green for the zaku, maybe. But other than that, no. I'm not painting my Heat Hawk purple. I don't care if it's show accurate. Honestly, they just wanted to make it look a little more sci-fi. Good on them. Bad on me. Whatever. But our Heat Hawk here is a simple thing. It's literally one piece straight off the runner. And all I did have to do was cut the safety flags off the front here. Did it in a gunmetal wash. Highlighted the crannies and nooks with the rust color. Bingo. And the Heat Hawk works spectacularly with this kit. All sorts of action poses available. And it's one of the few zakus I found, high grade or otherwise, that doesn't really look that dumb swinging this thing around. Because, I mean, let's face it, you know, big hulking ogre type looking mobile suit swinging a tiny axe. This one does it the best. So here I'm going to remove this from the hand. Okay, so here's the Heat Hawk. Let's do another quick look here so we can see some weathering I've done to it. That tarnished look. And you'll notice the weapons here will have the least amount of rust on the entire kit. Because something that's great about metal is, well, if you use it and constantly work with metal, it won't rust. Even, so even folks that call it stainless steel, fuck that, it still rusts. It will. It just takes longer. It's just harder to. And so now we've now put that on the side of the mobile suit there, back where it originally was. And another thing here with the weapons, that it doesn't matter if they don't care about the mobile suit. Any soldier worth his shit, you can ask any of them. If they have downtime, keep your weapon clean. So they might be mildly rusted, but their functionality is still there. And that would go right down to keeping rust off of any of the important components, or like for the heat hog, for instance, the blade. So that's why that's not that heavily rusted. Moving on now, so now we're going to move into pretty much the next quintessential Zaku weapon, and that would be the machine gun. So we're going to talk the first part of the machine gun first, and that is the ammo container, the drum. I've rusted up the bottom of it just a little bit, as well as tarnished the top and the sides, just giving it a little bit of rust on here. As you can see there, if that'll focus in. There we go. Alright, and you can take this little ammo drum here and plug it right in here into the side skirt, or on the back skirt if you really want. But this is another thing about this that's a minor disappointment to me. They only give me one ammo container. One. So it's either on the machine gun or it's on the side skirt, but I can't have both. That would have improved the look of this kit miles if I could have an ammo container right there while he's holding another machine gun, to create the illusion, for whatever reason I wanted to, that this guy can reload his goddamn gun. But it is what it is. So, enough bitching about that. Gonna put him back down. I'm going to reconnect this ammo drum here to the machine gun, and boom, we have our Zaku machine gun here. Very nice gunmetal coats. I've darkened it up in places, giving it that tarnished look with a wash over it of black and dirt looking. So, yes, it's dirty, yes, it's rusted, but again, only in the areas that don't really matter, like the underside of the scope, the iron sights. There's some rust here on the action, but not as bad. And there is some on the stock. The barrel's clean, the hand's clean. The revolver, not the revolver, but the pivot mechanism here on the handle is a bit rusted. But not on the handle. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this into the Zaku's hand. And all of these do have tab connector slots here in the hand, which plug into the weapons. I will say they don't always work every time, but with these manipulator fingers, the actual jointed fingers, it helps. So it's got that going for it. Alright, so of course the Zaku can hold this machine gun with the best of ease as far as the weight goes. Still trying to plug this into the hand. And if this doesn't get it on this try, I'm going to have to pause the video and get it right. So if there's a jump cut, don't be surprised. And we got it. Alright, so of course, no action pose here, but just holding the gun. There you go. But it easily shores up here to shoulder the weapon, like so. But I find it, what I like to enjoy doing with it is sort of leave it down, like just in sort of a resting pose with the gun. Like I'm not going to put it in that big of an action pose when I'm going to put it on a shelf. And it popped out again. No, I swear, when you get it on this guy, but when you don't got it, it'll let you know. Alright, anyway. So here it is in that resting pose I was just talking about, and I like to sort of have it shouldered, but down, like so. Let me move the camera a little bit there for you. You can see with that. So I find that to be an enjoyable pose for it. And lastly, our last accessory for this guy. So we've talked the heat hawk, we've talked the rifle. It's a zaku, and what zaku would it be without the bazooka? Now, one thing about this bazooka that I'm going to talk about right now, right off the bat, is as you can see in the handle there, those two notches that only fit the right hand. But piss on that. If you put it in the left hand with those manipulators, it'll still fit. It'll just be a little loose. Just make sure them fingers are sure up. Other than that, let's go into some details here. The secondary handle here moves in and out. But it's kind of meant for the left hand, but it, again, really doesn't matter. The camera here moves up and down. There is a in and out flap right here to close that. I did paint the inside of this red to match the eye camera. And the same thing as the machine gun here. That also moves over and over. And as you saw, this moves. The inside of the camera there is red painted also. Forgot to mention that. And as you can see here, I gave this more of a stationary look with a little bit more rust here on the barrel top. Not so much the bottom, it's more tarnished, again like the others. But still weathered, worn, but functional. And here's what I like to do on this guy. Instead of, there is a connector part here on the back skirt, but I'm not going to show you guys that. That's more if you want to do that. What I do with this, and I was watching Full Metal Jacket. I want to say Full Metal Jacket the other day. It might have been Platoon, I'm not sure. But the heavy weapons guy, you rarely ever see them take a heavy weapon and stow it. You know, they're usually always carrying it instead. Not just because they might need it. They're usually carrying it just to keep it out of the thick of things, you know, to keep it out of the shit. So, when I usually pose this guy, I've had it here on my desk for about a couple weeks, and the whole time, it's just like at the beginning of this video, I've had him holding the zaku, or, pardon, I've had him holding the bazooka in the left arm, in more of a rested position, but able to be quickly fired. I can imagine like a pilot or an engineer programming this zaku to do that, sort of like this, just sort of holding the bazooka in a resting position, more down like this, so they could travel with it, not have to worry about it being on the back skirt, because if mud or too much dirt gets up into there from it being on the back skirt here, say like they had to cross a river, it would be useless. And they'd have to stop and clean it. Or, you know, there are rockets in this thing. There are giant missiles inside of this thing. If that jams with a rocket inside of it, well, kiss your fucking ass goodbye. You know, you and your entire squad are probably dead. So, just in case they ever needed to, boom, he can fire it. Or if you wanted to do like a even more stoic piece there on the shelf, have him looking down but holding it up to cross like a big river or a trench or something. But raise the rifle, you know, ready for anything. You know, that's kind of what I'm going for here. Just to show a zaku at rest sort of thing. The zaku looks like it's been through hell. Its weapons look like they've been through hell. But he's ready and he's on the move. So, that's kind of what we're going for here, guys. And I think, now that we're done with the weapons here and we're looking all over here at the big picture of things here, of everything I've done, you know, everything that sort of came together about this kit, all in all, the entire spectrum of what I've wanted to do here, I am so damn proud of how this guy turned out. This was my first real attempt at not only buying these enamel paints to do this sort of paint job, but working with this and getting one of my ideas that I've wanted to do for a real long time here more fleshed out. And I'll be goddamn, just I think the looks of this kit here really speak for themselves. And, I'll let you guys be the judge of what you think here, really, It's no skin on my bones if you like it or don't. I hope you do. But either way, like I said, I'm proud of him. And this, everything that's happened with the way I've been building this guy here and the break I've taken from posting for a while has really made me think, that if you guys like the way I built this, please, I can't stress this enough. I can't beg you enough. Down in the comments, let me know. Because, I can keep doing these kind of builds. I can keep showing off this sort of thing and getting better at this. So if you guys are down for this, I would really appreciate knowing this and doing more. And, I was planning on doing a video suggesting this a little later, but I'll go ahead and, test the waters here a bit. A buddy of mine recently was telling me, that if I want to, and I think my skills are up to par, a lot of people here have seen my videos on here, that maybe I should start getting into, commission builds and things like that. Which, he said I could do it. Totally blows my mind that he said I could do it. But, that would sort of really make me feel cemented into this hobby. And, if the people watching this right now, think that they're well, damn, I wish I had a zaku like that. Let me know, I'll hook you up. I mean, I'd love to get started into the commission sort of thing and really get motivated into this. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't have the single fucking clue how to start really doing those sort of high-level commission builds for people, but I'm good at following other people's directions, basically. So, anyway, that's enough of me trying to sell myself on that. If I get any feedback on this video from that, I will post another video about it with more details. Anyway, so this here has been my ms-06-j, the Zaku 2.0, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this heavily weathered beast here, because I sure as hell have. And I've noticed we got a few people that have recently liked my page. Hopefully that'll bring some more subscribers here. So if you're new to my page and you're seeing this for the first time, why don't you go ahead and leave me a like down below and subscribe. And beyond that, if you have anything else to say, go and leave it down in the comments below. This has been Luna Titanium saying, guys, I'll see you later.